Yes, guys, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for another pre-match pump-up as Tottenham travel to the Amex today to take on Brighton in a crucial Premier League fixture. Tottenham really do need to be getting back to winning ways and getting the 3 points on the board. Joining us today, we have Sean from Spurs Talk Show, Brian from Tottenham on Tour, and Amir as well from Israel Uncovered. Guys, we'll be taking you all the way through the lineups, the live lineups when they're out, all the way through to the watch along, and then all the way through to the post-match fan show as well. So, guys, make sure you stay tuned here all day. Shawnee boy, what day is it, my man?
If the internet's already going, but just in case you can still hear me, it's game day!
That's what I'm talking about, my man. That's what I'm talking about. How you keeping, brother?
I'm good, mate. Good. I'm just bloody frustrated about this internet, mate. It just jumps. This crack. It's an absolute nightmare. It's been the bane of my life for the last month. But apart from that, I'm pumped up and ready to see us take 3 points from the South Coast this afternoon.
Absolutely love it. Brian, you ready to inflict some pain on some seagulls in the South Coast this afternoon?
Always ready for that, always ready for that. But I have to say, Sean's It's Game Day is almost as synonymous to me now as Good Morning Vietnam in the movie, when it's that kind of tone. And it does get you pumped up. It certainly does get the juices flowing. And yeah, let's just hope whatever happens today is 3 points. Forget the performance, forget the style of play. Most important thing today is to get back on winning form, and that's the most important thing.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Amir, how are you keeping, brother? You pumped up for this game?
Oh, I'm pumped. I've been waiting for it all week. Ever since that Frankfurt, we couldn't finish our dinner. We couldn't eat those Frankfurters. I've just been waiting to get our revenge here against the Seagulls. We've got to come home with the 3 points, and I'm 100% with Daigle. It's by hook or by crook. I don't care how we do it. If the ball comes off Sanchez's arse and goes in, I'll take it. Whatever happens, we need the 3 points. Back to winning.
I'll take absolutely anything today, Amir. I really would. But Shawnee, our away form isn't the best. Brighton are under this new guy. They picked up a good 3-3 draw at Anfield there last weekend. Is this game going to be relatively straightforward for us, do you think, today? Or do you think we're in for a tough game this afternoon?
Certainly in for a tough afternoon, mate, regardless of whatever formation we put out there today. I've heard rumors. Guys, I can hear massive feedback in my ear. I don't know if that's all good. Look, it depends on. I've seen on Twitter that the leaks are out that we're going 3-4-3 again, and if so, I'm very worried because Brighton, under their new manager, but even under their previous one, when they have two men to run at and to boss the midfield, Trossard and Gross are incredibly dangerous. And if you saw them against Liverpool away, they had so many chances. It's nice to see that Eric Dyer's managed to shrug off whatever his injury was after the Frankfurt game, but I'll be worried if we go two men in midfield in a 3-4-3. I need to see that 3-5-2 today. But generally speaking, to answer your question directly, it's not going to be an easy game, but I think Tottenham have got enough in us in the tank to go to Brighton and get a decent result.
No, 100%. I fully agree. And I don't want to see images of Eric Dyer turning his back on a Trossard fake shot as well either, which ended up ultimately leaving us in defeat 1-0 at the end of last season. I want to see us actually turn up today. I want to see a good cohesive performance. But Sean, I will say, this guy, De Zerbi, he played Antonio Conte in Serie A 4 times. Now, there will be goals today. It produced 19 goals in the 4 games. But this guy dominated possession in every single game. Even though he didn't win one, he lost 3 and drew 1. Antonio Conte won 3 and drew 1. But this guy dominated possession with a less of quality in his team compared to Antonio Conte's Inter Milan team. And the gap between Tottenham and Brighton, you would say, is closer than Sassuolo and Inter Milan. So I do expect us to be without a lot of the ball today. And there is no guarantee that bringing that extra man into midfield will actually give us more control of the game, will actually help us dominate the game. So, if we do go with the 3-4-3, I'm not surprised. Despite everybody calling for the 3-5-2, Antonio Conte still seems to stick with the 3-4-3. But we've lost him here. There seems to be internet problems all around today. I know he's back again. But, Dagan, I mean, I've lost the train of thought now. Amir's have to put me off. I blame you, Amir. But Daigle,
it's all my fault.
the formation today, if it is the 3-4-3, would you be upset with it? Would you be angry? And is it the right call, especially with, Kulu being out injured and probably we need to save Richarlison for an impact off the bench?
So you know what? We spoke about this on your show earlier, and let's face it, across all Spurs social media, YouTube channels, everything, I think the biggest topic and the topic of discussion right now is 3-4-3 versus 3-5-2, and which one does he go with, or which one do we want to see? And as you just said, with those stats that you said, he's been dominated possession-wise in the games on the head-to-heads, but he's won 3 and drawn 1, and he's played the 3-5-2 in all of them. So if you're looking at it, the 3-5-2 seems to get the better of this manager, with us having less possession. So maybe this is the game where he says, do you know what? I played this guy 4 times. I'm undefeated, winning 3. Yes, they've had the lion's share of the possession, which, let's face it, a lot of our teams are doing when we play against them. But the 3-5-2 is what seems to be the Achilles heel of this manager. So I think today there's more chance of it happening. Like, we were calling for it against the Field. We were calling for it against Frankfurt. We wanted to see it, or we did see it at Leicester. But obviously, he's reverted back to his default 3-4-3. But I think today, with the stats you were given earlier, may give him a key indicator to say, do you know what? I can beat this guy with 3-5-2. I know how to play this guy. So I'd like to see it. I really want to see it, but I'm like you. I think he will stick to his tried and tested and go 3-4-3. But we'll find out in 17 minutes.
Yeah. 17 minutes, that we will. Look, some people are putting in comments saying there's a league lineup out. Some are saying it's 3-4-3. Some are saying Spencer's in, but we'll get on to right wing back in a minute. But Amir, regardless of what way Conte sets up today, how important is it? We just no moaning and groaning. We just get behind it and see what happens today. We can speculate and do what we want after, but before the game, let's just get behind the team. Look, it's a tough enough day as is without any fans berating Conte or Tottenham before they've even kicked off, especially with the passing of Ventroni, which I'll get onto in a minute. But how is important we just have belief in what Conte is doing right now?
Oh, 100%. And Harris, you need to be the one to get everyone pumped up and everyone behind the team. Because last season, when everyone doubted us getting top 4, we always had the club's back and the boys back. And look, we got it in the end of the day. So we all need to get behind the team, regardless if you want to see a 3-5-2, a 4-4-2, a 3-4-3, whatever it is. If you want Spence in, Doherty, or Perisic and Sessegnon, it doesn't matter. We need to get behind the team. We need to support them. The away fans will be there. They'll be doing their job. They'll be singing throughout the whole game. I'm sure we'll hear them. And we really need our front 2 or 3 or whoever's playing up there to be sharp. Sharpness. That's what I want to see some clinical finishing and sharpness from those front 3, because it seems to me since Kulu got injured and he hasn't been in the team, we're lacking that last little ball, that last little maneuver of getting past the player, slipping it through to Kane or Song. And that's where I think we need to improve today, and hopefully we can do it. And I can see us putting in a good performance today. We created a lot against Frankfurt, and we know how Brighton play. They will leave some space there in behind, and we will get chances. So it's about finishing them.
100%. And look, hopefully Brighton fans are singing "We Want Potter Back" by the end of the game. That would be absolutely unreal. Yeah. But we'll get on to the front 3 after the lineups come out, because that is something I think we'd all like to have a say on, because it just is not working. And I agree with you. I think Kulu's an absolute huge miss. But a couple of things that you guys at home can do today. And if you're not at the game, and I encourage everybody to do this at the game, but the first one is make sure you sing Antonio's name loud and proud today. Make sure you know that we're still behind him. Make sure you know that we still love him, and make sure you know that we still we're still behind the job that he's done at Tottenham so far, taking us from 9th to 4th. So I think that's very important that we show him that he's loved as well, because he's going to be missing his long-term friend today, Ventroni. That guy actually coached Antonio Conte when he was a player. So they have a long term friendship and relationship. So it's important to get behind the guy today. At the end of the day, we're all human, and it will be affecting him. It will also be affecting the likes of Son, who's basically thanked him for the speech and the talk he gave him before the Leicester game, before the hat trick. And Kane will be missing. Well, Kane will be missing him. But it does mean he can sell his puke bucket. But there'll also be the teams. There will be a round of I think it's a minute applause before the game. Both teams will be wearing black armbands. Tottenham players will also be warming up in a Ventroni t-shirt, and there will be an applause on the 61st minute. So everybody at home, make sure you applaud as well, and along with the guys in the stadium. Just because you're not at the game, it doesn't mean you can't get involved and get behind what's going on. So make sure that's two things: singing Antonio Conte and the minute's applause as well on 61st minute. But Sean, lineups. We have Maxwell Turner. He says league lineup. Spence starts. It's official. With Conte. Well, look, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait for another 13 minutes. But surely
there's somebody else a little bit further down that says Doherty starts league lineup. So who knows?
Well, look, I mean, Sean, what changes do you think we'll see to the lineup, or what changes do you want to see to the lineup, if any?
Well, yeah, part of the reason
because Emerson suspended for the next 3 Premier League games, so there will be one at least.
Yeah, I mean, during the week when I first saw the video about Eric Dyer, I was terrified. And that when I did my video on my channel, I was like, we have to go 3-5-2 because we're going to be experimenting with the back three. Somebody, whoever it is, whether it's Sanchez coming in, whether it's Romero stepping over, whether it's Longley coming in, at some point, somebody's going to be in the central defense, the center of the central defense that hasn't played there before, or very rarely has played there in the back three. And so it's an experiment. Even if Eric Dyer is playing, we don't know whether that means that it was a nothing injury, a superficial flesh wound or whatever, and he's fine, or whether he's playing injured because Antonio Conte's tapped him on the shoulder and said, I need you, bro. We haven't got anybody else. I need you to come in. If you're 75%, it's good enough for me. In any event, unless he's absolutely perfect and match fit, then I worry a little bit about our back three, which is why I do want to see that 3-5-2. Also, of course, whether it's Matt Doherty, whether it's Spence, or whether it's Perisic just coming on the right-hand side, we're going to have somebody that's playing on the right wing-back slot today that will have played the grand total of about less than 30 minutes at right wing-back. I think we saw 25 minutes of Perisic at the right when he had to play with Sanchez behind him against Leicester. We've seen about 15 minutes with Matt Doherty. We've seen 0 minutes with Jed, or 5 minutes with Jed Spence. So there's more risk, more experimentation. For me, I think that today we have to go, we can't lose. We absolutely can't lose the game. If we lose the game, it sets us right back. And obviously Brighton then join us on the same amount of points. Obviously we want to win. We've got to find the way to win. But even if it means giving up possession, being solid and then trying to go for it. For me, 3-5-2 with Bissouma, Højbjerg and Bentancur. And I don't mind which variation, or whether you play Bissouma in the 6, Bentancur in the 8, and Højbjerg slightly more advanced, or whether you see a mix, a mix and match of that variety. Session on the left-hand side, it's not going to be a pretty thing. I don't think we're going to play necessarily free-flowing football. The one good thing I think that I see out of this formation is if Sessegnon is starting at the left wing-back, I think you're going to see a better version of Sonny today. I know people don't like me saying this, but I always think that Perisic, with his maraudering runs down the left-hand side, I don't think it suits Sonny's style of play in a 3-4-3. I think they cramp each other's style. And I think opposition teams know that we would be most dangerous down our left, and we're most, weak, I guess, offensively down our right with Emerson, which is why you see so much space on our right and so little space in our left, which obviously restricts Sonny's ability to do what he does best. So today with Sessegnon back behind Sonny, I think that Sonny can have a good game. And if we do go 3-5-2, then I think that Sonny's going to have to be absolutely on form. And this is assuming, of course, that it's going to be Sonny and Kane that start. You could make the argument that Richarlison, Kane, or Sonny could, any one of them could be dropped on form, because they were all, in my opinion, objectively poor with their final touch and final decision making in the game against Frankfurt. But I think it will be Sonny and Kane. And if so, Sonny's got a lot of responsibility, but he should have a lot more space to be able to do what he does and run at pace. And so there's reasons to be fearful about the kind of changes to our back line, or the impact of Dyer's injury. But there's also reasons to be optimistic in my mind, which is Sonny having more space and more familiarity with a player that he plays better with behind him on the left-hand side in Ryan Sessegnon.
Well, son, interestingly, Sonny, he hasn't scored in 9 games versus Brighton. So hopefully, today with maybe wanted to get one for Fentroni, that'll get him over the line and break that duck. And hopefully he'll be back at his creative best today. It'd be interesting to see if your theory is proved right. Sonny will definitely be looking out for that for sure. Now, I know a lot of people are saying the leaked lineups are out, but we will wait until it's officially put out by Tottenham Hotspur just to make sure they are correct. But with Doherty, I was saying earlier on my show, guys, that with the words on Doherty, I agree with it, but I also think Conte realizes that maybe tough love is the way to get through to Matt Doherty. Now, when he first came in, he told me he wasn't a part of his plans. And basically, Doherty went away, put his head down, worked on his game, got his chance and took it. But since then, he's come back from injury. And I can tell you now, I was at the Aviva a couple of Tuesdays ago watching him against Armenia, and he is nowhere near confident. He is nowhere near the level he was at in them 6 games last season. He will never get as much space as he did against Armenia to be able to whip balls into the box, to be able to run at the fullback, beat him. And he just didn't take the opportunity whatsoever. He kept on passing the responsibility back inside. So if he does get the call today, it'll be interesting to see if he does actually play with a bit of confidence today. But Brian, I mean, the lineups, they'll be out there in about 8 minutes' time. But do you think, who do you want to see at right wing back, and what other changes do you think we might see today?
So as I said to you on your show earlier, I don't think it'll be Perisic. I think it'll be Doherty. I would love it to be Spence. Absolutely love it to be Jeff Spence. And obviously, we've got conflicting people in the chat saying it's going to be one or the other. So if we go 3 in the middle, I think it will be Skip over Basuma. But like I said again in your show, I just want to see that 3. I would be happy if it's Basuma or a Skip to make that 3. I think a lot of people, or myself definitely, I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, they just want to see the 3 in midfield. I don't think they're really concerned whether it be Skip or Basuma. They just want to see something different and have a midfield 3. And you know, when it comes to the strikers, and I'm going to be sudden, here we go, here come the comments against me. I seriously would really drop, rest, rotate Kane. And I'm saying this for particular reasons. Everyone, Son and Son. No. The reason I say it is Son and Richarlison have both had their time on the bench. We heard that it was all going to be rotational. Kane, remember at the start of the season, we got told he's in the red zone. He's playing too much football. I'm now thinking with my England cap on. When I saw him hobbling against Frankfurt, if we'd gone with 2 up top, we could have gone, right, off you go and bring someone on to just... I don't know. Obviously, if he plays today, he's fine. He may be fine. But just seeing him hobble for that brief amount of time was already like, he's not. I'm not saying drop him because I don't think he's out of form, and I know his goal record. But the other 2 have had time on the bench, and Kane again is playing way too much football, and we have to look at it. If he picks up an injury for both Tottenham and with my England hat on, it could be very, very damaging. And if it is Kane, and like I said, I highly doubt it would be Kane, but if he was to come off the bench again, he's a devastating guy to bring on. And I just think now we've got to start looking. We all heard that the front 3 are going to be rotated. Well, he hasn't. He hasn't at all. And I agree, he's been scoring the goals when we have been, but he needs some time. He needs, especially picking up or hobbling in. I'm sure every fan, when they saw hobbling, was like, oh, here we go. And relieve that and put some of the stress on the body is what I would do.
Completely disagree. We were getting
an Irish. It's not going to the cardboard. How she would.
We were getting on so well, Daigle. We're getting on so well. But
we had a good run.
I'm going to tell you why I disagree. Look, for me, there's a number of reasons. First of all, Kane could easily get injured coming off the bench. So for me, I don't really take, picking up an injury. Plus, he's working with a new guy, and since he's worked with that new guy doing extra work outside of the club, he hasn't really had too many injuries. So that new guy that he's working with, I think he's based in America. It's really strengthened Harry Kane. Second, for me is, he's our top goal scorer. He's just got to play. Third, he scored 8 in 10 appearances against Brighton across all competitions, so he knows how to find the back of the net. And then the last one is this rotation. Look, we can keep calling for rotation in the forward line all we want, but last season when we played Kane, Son and Kulu religiously, we got the rewards for it. This season, with all the chopping and changing, we're struggling to break teams down. We're struggling to score goals. So I would actually argue that there's no need for rotation. Until the team clicks, you've got to try and stick with the same front three. And we can say Liverpool and City rotate and stuff like that, but mainly in League Cup games and FA Cup games. They don't do it in Premier League games or Champions League games because they know how important these guys are to the way they play. They know these guys are going to be the ones that more than likely going to get the goals. And I actually think you're just making a rod off your own back wrestling someone like Harry Kane today. Proven, tried, trusted goal scorer. Same with Sonny. I said the same with Sonny when people were calling for him to be rested. And the difference between the front line last season and this season, and by the way, everyone's calling the football boring this season. Well, the biggest difference is we've seen a lot more rotation in the forward line than what we did last season. So for me, I think you've got to stick with these guys. But that's why I completely disagree, Daniel. I don't know if you have anything. I don't know if you want to retort.
No. Like I said, mate, listen, I'm not saying this is not, they're the only reason. And the main reason is, like I said, everyone said they were going to be rotated. I'm not saying, listen, don't get me wrong. I know all the stats about Kane. I know his goal record against most teams is fantastic. I know that he is Tottenham's talisman. There's no doubt about that. But in a squad where things need to be rotated, there are times, and like I said, I agree. But also, when you talk about the front three, the time that works is when Kulusevski is there.
But here's the thing, we don't need to be so quick to be rotating all the time just because we've got all these players. It's going to happen naturally with injuries, with the longer the game goes on. We're only a couple of games in. We're only 2 games in to a 13-game period. That's going to happen 5, 6, 7 games in. We don't need to be so quick to do it now. And when our away form is so poor, we've won 1 out of 6 away. We've only travelled once outside of London so far this season. So even the away games in London, yes, they're London derbies, but it's not like we should be affected by travel and stuff like this. We're only 8, 9 games into the season. These players are not tired. If they're tired 8, 9 games into the season, we've got a long, long way to go. But rotation will happen naturally. We don't have to keep trying to force it.
We'll get out. We'll soon find out. We'll soon find out.
On merit, though, Dave. You could make the argument that on merit, like I say, I'm with you in as much as like the fact that Sonny doesn't score, very rarely, or sorry, very frequently against Brighton. The fact that Richarlison hasn't scored any goals in the Premier League this season, and the fact that we only have 3, recognised forwards that Conte even trusts available to choose from. Decky's out, Lucas is out, and Brian Hill's just not in his plans. For me, you have to pick 2, and for me today, Harry Kane and Sonny get the nod over Richarlison, because I think for me, Richarlison's been quite a bit of a disappointment. I like his character. I like his passion. I think he's a bit of an organised headless chicken, the way he runs around and looks feisty and fiery. But for me, he's far too clever with the ball. He's trying to always do flicks, back heels, nutmegging players when simple things would suffice. And of the 3, he has to get I think he makes the most sense to get put to the bench today in a 3-5-2 scenario. We're going to see in 20 seconds. But to defend Daigle, you could make the argument that any of the 3 could be rested, because as much as Harry Kane has scored 7 goals this season, he doesn't look like his usual self. He does look tired. He looks slower than usual. And I'm a little bit concerned about overplaying in a 2-game per week period too much. But I think today you still have to stick with it. Maybe next week against Everton is a better use of. Well,
it's picking your games, though, Sean. It's picking your games. When your away form is absolutely shambolic. Name me what manager in world football is going to look at his top goal scorer of the season and the club's top goal scorer last season. Name me what manager in world football is going to say, today is my day to drop our top goal scorer when our away form is so poor.
True. Teams are out, mate. Teams are out. I'm going to bring up
Share them in, Shawnee. Share them in. We'll get them in. Then we'll get Amir's. We'll go with Amir and get his thoughts on the lineups. But, look, what I would say to Spurs fans is pick your poison. Be very, very careful what you wish for. An away game where your away form is so poor, it's not the right time to be dropping your top goal scorer, in my opinion. I agree with what Vegas says, but on that, I think it's absolutely mad. But the lineups are out. You're going 3-5-2 goals. We've got We've got Turbo, Matt Doherty at right wing back today. He comes into the lineup. Romero, Dyer, and Davies comes in for Clement Longley with Session at left wing back. So that's already Perisic and Langley out of the lineup. Benchcore and Højbjerg and Basuma in the midfield. So he's gone with the three in the midfield. With Gunn and Kane up top. You've got Fraser Forrester on the bench along with Jed Spence, Davidson Sanchez, Clement Longley, Perisic, Skip, Sarr, Brian Hill and Richarlison. And the first thing I noticed when I look at that, we've got impact off the bench today. You can bring Perisic off the bench. You can bring Langley off the bench if the back line isn't transitioning the ball as well as it should be. You've got Richarlison who you can bring off the bench. So we've definitely got options off the bench to be able to affect this game. Great to see Kane and Sonny being given the starting berths up front. But Amir, we'll start with you because we didn't get your thoughts on what you wanted to see on the starting lineup because Daigle set me off on the Harry Kane one. He knew
always my fault. Always my fault.
But you did get your 3-5-2 though, Daigle, but we'll get back to you. But Amir, are you happy with what you see? A number of changes, Perisic out, Langley's out with Davies and Session coming in. So Richarlison misses out and Basuma slotting in. So it's a 3-5-2. Are you happy with what you see from Conte here heading into the game?
I'm not just happy, Dave. I'm not just happy. I'm delighted with this team because what it's showing me is that Conte has faith in squad players. The fact that Basuma's in there from the start, even Doherty getting the nod, right? We know that he got injured. He was doing all right before the injury. He hasn't looked great, but he's giving him his chance. He's showing him confidence in the player. So I think that's fantastic. The fact that he's adapted the tactics to a 3-5-2, that he thinks he's got the number on this De Zerbi, however you say his name, the Brighton manager. He's beaten him before 3 times, got a draw the other time. So I think going with the 3-5-2, showing that he's adapting his tactics a bit and he's not just, bashing his head against the wall and going with the 3-4-3 every single time. So I'm really happy to see it. And I think a lot of Spurs fans will be delighted to see 3 in the middle. And hopefully we will manage to control the middle of the park a little bit more today. And it really is on Kane and Son being sharp and finishing the job because the chances will come. I promise you that. Bentancur, for me, probably our most informed player this season out of everyone. Been playing fantastic. He's showing that he can progress the ball. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him with Højbjerg and Basuma there in the middle. It's going to be very interesting to see if they kind of all are chopping and changing with the position, or is Basuma going to play behind the strikers, or will Højbjerg maybe advance to that role? I'm not too sure. So be very interesting to see how this lineup works out for us. I'm really excited, lads. And I think we're going to get a really good performance from the boys today.
I think it'll actually give a lot of Spurs fans a lot of excitement just to kind of freshen up something different. You know, when you get a new fresh haircut, like before you walk into the barbers, you're a bit down. You're like, oh, I don't feel sexy today. You know what I mean? Then you get the buzz and you walk out. You're probably giving that little pep in your step, a bit of a wiggle in your arse. You feel sexy. That's what it feels like seeing this. To be honest. Look, I will say there are a number of things that maybe, look, I'm not one to question Antonio Conte. Ben Davies for Langley is probably... It's
a strange one, mate. Longley's been in good form, man. He's been in good form. He was the best man on the pitch, one of the best men on the pitch against Frankfurt. He played all right against Arsenal as well. I think he's rising into the position. And then to take a guy out who's on top form and the best form that he's played in the Tottenham shirt for a guy who's recovering from injury, who wasn't necessarily playing that brilliantly before the injury occurred. I think that's, to your point about if it's rotation, I get it. But at the same point, if we're not talking about rotating out Kane or Sonny or whatever, because we're only 3 games into a 13 game period, whatever it is, then why make the same justification for the centre back spot? It's a little bit strange one to me. I'm happy. Perisic is good to give him a rest for the reasons I mentioned earlier about giving Sonny some space. Oh, sorry. And the last thing I'll say quickly is it's nice to see that we've got a couple of attacking or three attacking options on the bench. Exactly. Even in spite of the fact that Decky and Lucas Moura are out injured. Because for the last 2 matches, we've gone into the games with literally no ability to have an offensive plan B if plan A didn't work, and they didn't work. So it's good. It's good to see.
I'll get to Daigle in a minute. I want to talk about the mid-3 feed with Daigle. But Sean, I have 2 follow-up questions on the Langley one for you. I agree with you. I'm not sure with the Langley Davies one. I don't think there was any need to do it, especially with Davies coming back off an injury and being, for me, a long way off the form he was on last season. Do you think it's going to affect us in terms of progressing the ball out from the back? Do you think it'll be noticeable? And second of all, I actually understand the session for Perisic. I know a lot of people are like probably throwing their arms up in the air. But if we're being brutally honest, I think Perisic has been underwhelming since he's got here. I've expected a lot more from him. So I can actually understand bringing in Session for Perisic today. Do you?
Yeah, I do. I think he's been, like I say, I think he's been poor defensively, Perisic. I don't think he's been twisted and turned and he's looked like he's lost a yard of pace over the last 12 months or whatever, 18 months since his time with Inter. And defensively, whilst look, I'm not taking anything away, the guy's brilliant from set pieces. His crossing is usually putting the balls into good area. It doesn't always necessarily translate. And I think he's got 6 assists, so it's a difficult one to knock him from his offensive. But like I say, I genuinely do think, and I've got the stats to make a case about this at some point in the next couple of weeks. I do think that Perisic and Sonny on the same side. I think that the impact of him being there on Sonny's game is not insignificant, and so it'd be interesting. I've got a feeling that Sonny's going to have a good game today because he's got his mate Sessegnon behind him.
I hope he does. I think Sonny getting back to top form will benefit all Spurs fans. So I hope your theory proves right, Shawnee. But Brian, moving on to the midfield three, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Bissouma. Now against Leicester, when we did switch to that formation, and I understand why we done it. Each of the three in the midfield there, they all complemented each other. Now, yesterday, I know you wanted Skip and you thought it was going to be Skip, so I want to know if you're disappointed. But that midfield three, they all complemented each other. And what it allowed us to do was actually engage the opposition higher up the field. Now, today, me and you were talking about Tottenham. We concede on average 16 shots on our goal every single game over the course of the 8 Premier League games we played. And it's unsustainable. So hopefully today we can actually engage them a lot higher up the pitch like we did against Leicester. And we got 3 goals from the midfielders, all turning the ball over and getting the ball forward. Bissouma turned one over. Bentancur turned one over. Højbjerg ran with a ball and ended up playing it through. And we were also, Bentancur and Højbjerg were also able to get into the box a lot more, which we've very rarely seen this season. What sort of impact do you think having that extra midfielder will have on the team today? And, are you happy to see the midfield three? Do you think we'd be able to see what we saw from that midfield three against Leicester? Do you think we'll see that again today?
So, yeah, I mean, I said to you at the beginning of this, I said on your show earlier, I thought it was going to be Skip. I like I said at the beginning, I would be happy just to see that 3. I wouldn't care who the personnel was, just to have that 3 in midfield. And what I wanted to see is 3 genuine central midfielders, not an attacker that can drop in and make that third man. I wanted to, because what we're doing is we're being overrun in midfield. So I wanted to see us suffocate the life out of their midfield, stop it getting into our defensive third, and literally cut off their oxygen and take control of it. So Bissouma, we know he did a wonderful job against us last season. He's done it to many teams where he could simply cut players out of the game. So he's going to have an extra spring in his step, obviously, against his old team. So I'm just delighted to see the 3. I'm delighted to see the 3. And like I said, I thought it was going to be Skip, and I have a big love for Skippy. I love Bissouma as well. But like I said, I'm just happy to see 3 midfielders in there and hopefully suffocate a very, very good Brighton midfield. A very good Brighton midfield. So hopefully we can cut that off.
100%. I really do hope so. But like I will say, I reminded people earlier on the show, I think we're all buzzing that there's a third option in midfield. I think the way this Derby plays, I think it gives us a better opportunity to actually try and get a grip on the game. I think it'll help eliminate the amount of shots we're facing per game at the minute. But it'll also help, and I think that'll happen by us actually engaging the opposition in and around midfield a bit higher up the pitch where we can get after the ball. And hopefully it will also spring more bodies forward with the likes of Højbjerg, with the likes of Bentancur being able to roam away from Bissouma. So hopefully we'll have a good impact on our game. But like I did say, the guy dominated possession in all 4 games against Antonio Conte. So although it may actually help us going forward, it might not actually turn it into a lot more possession. But we will wait and see. But Shawnee, you brought up the Brighton lineup here. Anything you've noticed? Anything you like? I will say McAllister in midfield has been a real highlight alongside Casado. They've been absolutely working hard in that midfield, the two of them.
Yeah, it looks like the same formation, the same team that went out against Liverpool when they drew 3-3 in that brilliant game at Anfield last week. Estupinan's a really good left wing back, in my opinion, or a left wing back. Solly Marsh is obviously quite handy on the right, and then you've got Trossard and Gross. I'm not too worried about Danny Welbeck, obviously, but you've got Trossard and Gross that are just going to hang around and be the link-up play between the midfield and the forward. I do think we can get a Lewis Dunk. I do think we can get, if we can get the ball in behind, I think that we've got some chances against the back four or the back three. But yeah, I got to be careful of Estupinan. I think we were looking at Estupinan in the summer for a little period. He ended up going there to replace Cucurella. Yeah, really good player. Started and he's adapted to life well in the Premier League as well. So we just got to be careful. Like I say, it's so important to have Bissouma in there as well, especially against his old team. He's going to want to put in an absolute shift. And if we can restrict the ability for Trossard and Gross to be able to get too much time on the ball, and like you say, McAllister is a really good kind of six, a really good player that can break things up and start to create things. McAllister against Bissouma, I think, will be a really interesting match today.
Sean, did you just say, Sean, we inquired about something? Inquiry FC struck again. Registered interest United struck again. Yeah,
it's all right though. I don't mind missing out on a Estupinan because I think we've got Destiny Udogie coming next year, and I think he's going to be an absolute superstar for us. So I'm happy to see that one.
Doing bits in Italy. He's doing bits in Italy at the moment.
Yeah. And there's a young Irish guy that plays on the right-hand side over there with him called Ebicelli. So I'm going to keep an eye on him, see if he's see if he does well out there, and maybe we could take him too. But I will say, looking at that Brighton lineup, and it's something I noticed that Antonio Conte done against this guy against Sassuolo. Webster, Duncan, Veltman, you presume will be the back three. Now, not great pace between the three of them is what I would say. And it was the same with Sassuolo. And when Conte played Sassuolo, there's a lot of long direct balls over the top for Martinez to try and get on the end of. A lot of balls into I think it was Lukaku. A lot of balls into him for him to get a hold of and get the team up the pitch. So I would say I will watch out for maybe a lot of sort of long direct balls, diagonal balls. I think that's something Conte will definitely look to do. Get Webster.
And he should have had Longley. Longley should have been playing if that's the case.
I agree. I agree, but I still think it's a tactic we're going to try and do, using Dyer, using Romero to maybe try and play them, and maybe. But I would look out for that. A lot of long balls, a lot of diags. But look, let's talk into the forward line. Kane and Son both starting today as a two. We know they have not been clicking well as late. By the way, if Harry Kane scores today, I might actually make a 10-second appearance on the fan show and just come on and go, that's why you don't drop Harry Kane. Because I've seen so many people. I've seen so many people in the chat agreeing with you, and it's rattled me. I'm like, I can't. If he scores today, I'm just going to simply come on. I'm just going to go, that's why you don't drop Big H, and I'm going to leave again. That's
David, it's not dropping. It's not dropping. It's
resting,
not
rotating. It doesn't matter.
Whatever it is, he's going to be dropped, rested, or rotated at some point.
I don't mind that.
You know what, Brian? I don't think he will be. I don't think think you'll see Harry Kane not starting a game until at least
David,
after the World Cup.
What I've got to say on that, David, before you get rattled by what I said, like I said, this is just an opinion. This isn't because I want him.
No, I know.
It's because I'm thinking of Kane's fitness. I'm thinking of Kane's availability for us, and I am now, I'm afraid to say, starting to think about England and the World Cup. And Harry Kane getting injured is a huge issue if it should happen before the World Cup, period.
Daigle, as much as I would love to see England win the World Cup and Harry, I don't care anything about that, to be honest.
Him being injured for Tottenham is more to me than fucking England, but I can't help but have my England hat on right now. I'd rather Tottenham win the Carabao Cup than England win the World Cup. Yeah. But Harry Kane is a huge part of both of them, and I want him to be fit.
No, I get what you're saying. I just think that this match here is the first in 4 really important Prem games that we have, and we need to keep pace with City and with the Scummers. you know. So we have to play Harry Kane today. I think for me it was a given, and I think David's right. He's going to nick a goal today as well.
I hope
He'll
so.
get on that.
I just
He'll
want my
get
10
on that
seconds
score
of
sheet.
glory after that.
Oh, he'll get on that score sheet.
But
Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
But guys, honestly, enough of the buffoonery around here that I'm setting up. But in all seriousness, how important is it that we actually do see Harry Kane and Son back to their best, but also the link-up play that they're so famous for, the telepathic relationship that hasn't quite been there either. We've seen glimpses of it, but we've also seen glimpses of each other and refusing to square it to each other, refusing to pass it to each other, lay it on a plate at times as well. So how important is it we actually do get these two back together playing well? And do you, what is it you think that's maybe missing right now? Why are they not hitting the heights they did last season?
I don't know. I'm not sure who you were asking there, mate. I'll go first. Yeah, I don't know what I wish I was a sports psychologist so I could get into the minds of these guys and figure out or understand why it is that, you know, you go from clicking week in, week out and having, you know, the setting the Premier League record for most amounts of goal assist combo contributions, but to what we're seeing at the moment. I think it's an element of selfishness that's played a part in it. I think you know, from certain players, maybe they were not necessarily looking to pass when they should have done, and then a little bit of frustration, which may then have like some sort of reciprocality to it, where the other player is not going to necessarily give the next pass. I don't know, though, to be honest. It's really difficult to speculate as to why the two aren't clicking. The one thing I would say, we haven't really spoken about it too much, is given that we're playing 3-5-2 for the first time today, I'm really intrigued to see who it is that's going to, of the three in midfield. Is it going to be Højbjerg that stands a little bit further forward? I'm not suggesting for a second he plays in the 10, but is he going to be a little bit further forward than the other two to try and do that link up? And if so, I'd rather probably see him do that than Bissouma or Bentancur, I think. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well.
I think it could be Bissouma sitting in the middle, like we saw against Leicester. Højbjerg will be responsible for covering the fullback, but also attacking, going after the ball with a bit of intensity and aggression, but also getting forward on one side, and Bentancur probably the other side of Bissouma doing the same. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know what any of you guys think. Do you think what do you think? What Shawnee's saying with maybe Bentancur and Bissouma sitting, and Højbjerg maybe getting a bit further forward to support them? Or with Bissouma in the middle and Højbjerg and Bentancur either side getting further forward to support.
You know what? But the good thing with this and playing the three central midfielders like this is they have the ability, like we were doing. Do you remember when we last season against Man City on the opening day when it was Son, Bergwijn and Moore up front, and they could rotate because they did everything together? You could say the same with this three.
Yeah,
there could be certain types. This is the great thing about these three central midfielders. They will be able to each play the role that each one of them can do. So I think you may see a bit of rotation within the team or within the 90 minutes, where 1 minute you might see Bissouma as the holding guy and Bentancur and Højbjerg going forward, and then the next minute Højbjerg could do that and it'd be Bissouma and Bentancur. There is some flexibility.
They're very interchangeable, isn't it? Like
exactly.
The three of them, you can't really pick too much difference between the three. The last thing I just wanted to get out before, I know we're running out of time, I'll let everybody else take it and run with it, is the level in which we start the defense. You know, against Frankfurt for the first time we saw this season us pushing right up the pitch and kind of almost going to a full-on press. I wouldn't say it was a full press, but it was certainly, we started defending far higher up the pitch, and the average positions of the Tottenham players in that game was about 20 metres further forward than it was in the game against Arsenal and the games before then, even against Leicester. So I'm really going to be intrigued today to see how we use those those midfield three. And like you say, whether it's in a vertical line, whether it's in a horizontal line, or whether it's interchangeable. But for me, the key, I think, is to not sit back too deep. Otherwise, it could be a very frustrating and very overwhelming amount of possession that's coming at us. And when you've got the trickery of Gross and Trossard doing their thing, I think we could be in trouble. So for me, I want to see the three of them grab the ball by the horns and go after it, like literally in the opposition half or on the halfway line. I don't want to see the three of them sat back in the final third much at all, if possible.
I agree. Guys, any thoughts on what Shawnee said there before I maybe move on the conversation?
Look, I just want to make a point. You know, the versatility of these front three, any of them can play in any of those positions in the middle. So it's key. It's key. And I'm with you, Shawnee. We just have to make sure that we're bossing that midfield. We're quick to second balls, because that's a point that I've noticed this season. We've been a bit lacking on second balls. as soon as that ball bounces in the middle, it should be ours, and it should be straight away off to the wing backs or up to Sonny and Kane. So we've got to make sure that middle is being bossed by us, and then it's down to Sonny and Kane to just be sharp and clinical and do the business up top.
Yeah. I just hope Kane and Son can put in a real performance today. I really do, because I think these away results also hinge on these guys maybe not clicking as much as well. You know, if we had that killer instinct and we were in form, we probably would have seen a few better results in away games. So, look, with Sonny, look, I don't know what's wrong with the guy. Some people said to me, is it because he's taken on extra sponsorship deals that he didn't have before? Is it similar to maybe Dele Alli when he took on all his? I'm not sure. I don't think his Outlander, his dad, would allow him to take on something if it was affecting his game. I do want to see, what I want to do is I want to see images of Sonny where he's back to his best, running at players, doing one step over, two step overs, the hair bouncing in that wind, you know, skinning his man, making him fall around like he's broken his ankles, and just whipping one into the top corner. But I also want to see Harry Kane. I just want to see Harry Kane do something animalistic. I just want to see the ball come into him pin his defender, turn, carry him on his back, run up, and just absolutely balloon one into the top corner. But guys, as well, Romero, he hasn't been the same this year. He's nowhere near hit the heights he did last year. And I genuinely believe it's down to him not hitting the guy in the first 2 minutes when he gets the opportunity. Because last season when he done that, he went on to have solid games. You know, the opposition didn't want the ball, but B, anytime anything came near him, he cleaned up. And he also freed him up then to get involved in the game a lot more offensively, which we're not seeing out of him this season. Do you think there's something to be said about him not clattering that man early on, and that's why he's not performing? Or what do you think the reason is?
Do you know what? I'm going to go first with this, because then I need to make a move, because there's some Toronto Spurs stuff I need to take care of. So I'll just say, but with Romero, for me, he started the season the first couple of games like we know he can, but after he picked up that injury, he's been, and Romero takes some of the blame himself because he's so eager to get back into the team. But there's no cover for him. There is no cover for him. So thank you, Kelly, honey. So when it comes, he's come back too soon. There's no replacement unless you're talking Davison Sanchez, and we know he is without doubt not the priority above Emerson. Sorry, I keep doing that. Romero. So Romero is the most important player in our defence, in my honest opinion, the best player, and he's rushed back too quickly. Obviously, he went away with Argentina, and he's got the long travelling time to do. Came back late, or later than most. He then starts against Arsenal. He then starts against Eintracht Frankfurt, and it's because of that lack of quality in defence. But he has been a shade of himself from last season. There's absolutely you can't get away. Just because these players are the best players, that does not mean they don't get criticism. It doesn't mean they're not allowed to have questions asked about them. And 100%. Romero's form at the moment has not been what we're accustomed to. Do I think he'll come back and be better and like he was? Without a doubt, but he needs time to recover from an injury. He needs time to recover from a long flight back from Argentina or wherever he's away on international duty when they're away. So again, this World Cup has made things so complicated because this is like the Christmas period, isn't it? Just 2-3 months solid of it. I'll let you guys go and finish off the show on that. What I will say, I'm coming over now, Dave. It will be, I'm going for, now it's gone 3-5-2, which I wished. 2-1 or 3-1 Tottenham is all I will say. So big love to everyone in the chat. Big love to all you guys. I'm not doing it at the moment. I will do it on the Spurs after show if it's not a good result. But I will say, come on, you Spurs. And you know what? You've done it now. You've done it, Sean. I'm not happy.
Before you go, if Harry Kane scores today, will you end off the fan show appearance with Kane in?
Listen, mate, oh my God, David, you don't help. You don't help matter now, because now there's going to be this whole agenda with people who go, "Oh, Brian only talks about leave you out. Brian don't know what he's talking about." Going, "Oh, Brian said he wants Kane out the squad. He wants Kane dropped." That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said if I want to see Kane rested and given a chance to have a bit of time off. But now it's this whole agenda. But if you want me to, if Kane's got, I tell you what, if Kane has a stinker, David. If Kane has a stinker, let's have a deal. You'll come onto the fan show and go, Kane rested.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
Let's make this an
It's
even
gonna be a
bet.
good fan show later on, lads. It's gonna be an interesting fan show.
Let's do that.
Oh,
That seems fair.
no,
A bet's
no.
a bet. Come on.
I
let's read
see.
it.
There we go. There we go. But now that Sean asked me to do this, I've got to. So I will go. And as always, Levy out.
See you, mate.
Big up, Brian. Big up. Oh, absolutely love it. I will get him to do the cane in. I will. Good banter, though. Good banter with Diego. But guys, there was a comment here from Stephen, and he says, "How will this affect the wingbacks? Will Conte want more forward with three midfields?" We'll start with you, Amir, and then we'll get Shawnee's thoughts on it. I mean, how do you think the wingbacks will play? What do you think Conte will be expecting from them today?
He'll be expecting them to push up as high as possible and be whipping those balls into the box as much as they can. And if it's not whipping in the box, then they've got to cut it back and give it back to the midfielders to try and slip something through. We all know how much Conte, values wingbacks in his formations, how much they're important to him, which is why it was a bit of a puzzle in the summer that we didn't go out and buy, a world-class wing back, but hey ho, we'll see how it goes in January and in the summer 2023. But for this game, I think the reason, Shawnee, you were kind of like, why isn't Lenglet in there? I think he's resting Lenglet and Perisic for the Frankfurt game. They've got more experience in Europe, these guys. So I think he's just saying, Cesc, he's got the pace, he's got the youth, he's learning from Perisic. He plays well with Sonny there ahead of him. And I give him the nod to Doherty. I know you saw him in the Aviva there a couple of weeks ago, David, and you didn't like his performance. But in terms of, your kind of consistency, how he played at Wolves, he knows the Premier League inside out. So I think that's why he's gone with him over a Spence, let's say. Even though I know how many fans want to see Spence in there. And personally, I'd love to see him play as well because he looked fantastic at Forest. So, I can see where he's going with the wing backs today. And I'm just really hoping they put in a performance. And honestly, out of all the players, David, I would love Doherty to score today for what happened. I don't know if people are aware, but there was a terrible explosion up in Donegal.
Yeah, Donegal. Yeah,
just horrible. I've seen the pictures. It's just horrific. So I think
it was an explosion at an explosion at a petrol station. A number of people died. So condolences and prayers and thoughts with their families as well. 100%. Very, very sad. A lot of Spurs fans up in Donegal as well. So hopefully, all the Spurs fans up there are all right. But with Matt Doherty, look, I want the guy to come in and perform. It's all I want out of any Spurs player. When I question them, when I criticize them, when I know some people say, oh, yeah, but Dave, you can go over the top. Yeah, fine, maybe I can. But at the end of the day, I get annoyed and frustrated because they're not performing, even though we're paying them money too. So I just want to see it go. I do want to see a good performance from him. I do want them to perform. But I'm just warning people. He's a long way off of where he was at them 6 games when he played last season, when people last remember him. Look, I hope he takes Antonio Conte's words and uses them as motivation to prove him wrong. But look, only time will tell. Time will tell. We're about we're just over half an hour away from kickoff, so we'll wait and see. But I do want to see a good game from Doherty. Don't get me wrong. I'm just telling people to err with caution. I was at the Aviva. I seen how much space he had, how many times he had to pick across, and he refused to do it. So we'll wait and see.
Do you think it's to do with his injury, though, David? Like he's not feeling good in his body to make those extra runs up forward? Yeah.
Look, Doherty, for me, I didn't think he was the best anyway, but it's definitely, I think the injury is definitely having a psychological effect on him where maybe he doesn't trust himself doing what he was doing last season when he did play them good run of 6 games. I think you're definitely spot on there. But Shawnee, what's your final thoughts, my man, before we close off here?
Yeah, well, I mean, go back to the question you asked about the expectation of the wing-backs. I agree with what Amir's saying. I think that you're going to need, if you're going to play 3 in midfield and have 3 centre-backs, you're going to have to, get those wing-backs forward. And they're going to have to be on the front foot, knowing that if they do get caught out, that there should be someone behind I mean, depending on the roles and responsibilities that are given to Bentancur, Højbjerg, or Bissouma, whoever, whichever one of them gets given slightly more defensive options, they have to be in those positions to fill those gaps. But you are going to need to have Doherty on the right. And on that basis, so I know that there's split opinion on Doherty. No one really thinks he's the answer in the long run, but he is better at crossing than Emerson is. So I think the game should suit him today in that regard. If he is given that space, if he crosses, if he gets the ball in the right position, I think he's got a better chance of finding it into a good area than Emerson. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see yet again for Jed Spence to see what his crossing's like. And I think Sessegnon's better crossing from deep, I think, than he is from getting to the byline and crossing the ball in. But Sessegnon is somebody that I think that starts the game well generally. He's usually on his tippy toes from the get-go. If you remember last season, he was pivotal in getting some early goals. I think against Everton was one of them. I think maybe Aston Villa, I forget. But I think that Sessegnon can do a job as well. When called upon, he can put in a good whip with his left foot. So yeah, there's going to be more offensive requirements from them. I think today we can do it. I'm so relieved going into the game. Obviously, we'll see what happens in half an hour, but I'm so relieved going into the game that we've at least got a formation that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that we've got options from the bench to pivot to. If it doesn't work, if after 45 minutes we're getting overran or we're just getting bossed or bullied or there's not enough creativity, at least in the second half, we can turn to Perisic, we can turn to Richarlison, Brian Hill, etc. We do have options. And that, for me, having the ability to be adaptable, to be unpredictable, and having a plan B is, something that should always be at the forefront of a priority list. And today it looks like that decision's been made. So I'm super more confident now than I was, 45 minutes ago before the teams come out. And I think that Tottenham are going to win the game 2-1. I think it'll be a tight affair, but I think we've got enough about us now to get the victory. 2-1 Tottenham. And Harry Kane to score. Harry Kane and Sonny to get one a pop.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Diego's throwing his coke glass off the wall now that you said Harry Kane. But look, Sean, what's coming up on your channel, man? Why don't you tell people what it's all about?
Yeah, look, at the moment, guys, you can find me at Spurs Talk Show. Not at the moment. You can always find me at Spurs Talk Show on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. At the moment, I've mentioned it a dozen times. My internet provider is just collapsing. So I'm currently working off the phone on 4G. So it's a nightmare. On that basis, I can't do any live streams. But as soon as that's fixed, I'll be getting back to my usual live streams, match reviews, match previews, doing panel shows, etc. All that stuff to come. But right now, most days, every day, I try and get out there, walk my dog, and get an upload done for you with some nice sort of scenery in the background where I talk about whatever the topic of the day is. Spurs Talk Show is where you can find me. I'd love it. I'm on the march to 4,000 now. So if anyone hasn't checked me out, I'd love it if you could smash a subscribe. Would really appreciate it.
Everyone, get in line and join Sean's march. Get over there, smash that subscribe button, and check out the channel. The Tottenham Talks or the Morning Walks, Tottenham Walks are absolutely. I like them. I like them. Sean's an entertaining character, so get over there, check them out. Amir, what's your score prediction? And tell people what you're trying to do, my man.
I'm going to go with 2-1 as well. I'm going to go with Kane and just Doherty as well, because I'd love to see him get on the score sheet today for Ireland and for everyone over there after such a tragedy. I've got a couple of channels. So I just launched a new one called Israel Uncovered. I'm a tour guide out here in Israel. I take people all around the country. And part of what I realized is that, it's tricky. Not everyone can make it out here. Not everyone can fly out and go and visit Jerusalem and see the sites and visit. So I'm putting all the content up on YouTube so that people that would like to get to know a little bit more of the country and see the sites can just go over to my channel, Israel Uncovered, hop on there and just see the beauty for what I see it. And I also do have another channel called the Open Peace Podcast, where we try to bridge the gap. There's a conflict here raging for over 100 years. I was born into it, just like everyone else on the Israeli side, Palestinian side. No one chose this, and it's about time that we solved it and lived a better future for the future generation. So we just bring people together and have conversations about issues that are happening here on the land and how to promote peace and kind of, solutions to issues that people are dealing with daily over here.
Love it. Love it.
Doing the Lord's work, my man. Doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, it is good work. Everybody get over and check that out. Look, for me, guys, I'm actually going to go 3-1 today. I'm going to go big man with a brace, Harry Kane with 2, and I'm going to go with Sonny with 1. I know he doesn't score against Brighton, but I feel he's very close to Ventroni, and I feel he will grab 1 today in respect for that guy. I'd love to see Doherty score as well and tribute it to the guys that the people that unfortunately got caught up in that explosion up in Donegal with the petrol station blowing up. That would be absolutely awesome. But I'm going 3-1, Harry Kane on the double, and I'm going to go Sonny with 1. Guys, the link for my channel is always also in there. If you want to get over, check it out. We do a show every single Tuesday with Ben from here and with Shawnee as well. So guys, make sure you get over, smash the subscribe button so you get alerted when that show's on. It's an absolute corker, actually. We have good fun, wind each other up, always disagree, and we get a lot covered as well, a lot of good talking points. So make sure you check that out every single Tuesday. But yeah, get over there. Even if you don't like me, just smash the subscribe button, help me out. But guys, there you have it. That is your pre-match pump up done. Hopefully everybody is absolutely gassed for the game. The 3-5-2, few changes in the lineup, fresh energy going into this game. Let's get after them. Let's get the win for Ventroni. And remember to sing Antonio before the game to show him that he's still loved. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.
Come on, Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs.
I can't wait to see what deep fried seagulls taste like.
Smash a bit of rock up their ass.